Hey guys, I'm Dave. Welcome back to the Mk1 TT project. In this episode, we're going to be tackling the exhaust downpipe, which I've been putting off for ages. But anyway, let's crack on and get it done. So I just looked this up. I paid 93 quid delivered with the offer it was on. So for 93 quid, to be fair, it's T304 stainless steel. It says mandrel bends, but these are part bends that have been TIG welded together. Not very well either. One of them stupid machine TIG welders. So the actual TIG welds aren't very thick. It's got the reducer on to fit the standard exhaust, which is cool. It's got a secondary O2 bung for a wideband for the BAM, which is excellent. And primary O2 bung as well. We've got a full set of gaskets that come with it. And fresh nuts and bolts, which is always good. You can see I've jacked the car up. I've jacked it up using the inner sills, the frame rail there, and then I've used the actual jacking points to put the axle stands under, and then I've gone and put the jack underneath the subframe. So as you can see, we've marked the bottom of the ball joint with white paint so we can see exactly where the nuts go on, because the holes are elongated, so you can adjust the camber out on here. So you want to make sure we get it back in the right place. Tried to undo the level adjustment sensor here, and that's bent up and nasty, so I'm going to order a new one of them and fit that. We now got to get the drop links undone. Again, probably end up replacing the drop links while I'm here because they're not exactly expensive. And then we do the same the other side, and then we've also disconnected the dog mount here, the dog bone mount, whatever you call it, so the engine's now free to move. Once we've got all that done, it's a case of then dropping out the 4 subframe bolts and lowering the subframe down, hopefully, and then we can get that out and do a bit of reconditioning on the subframe. The dog mount, I've left the bolts in the subframe because I've heard they're notorious for stripping and breaking. Don't really want to do that. I have got to replace the dog bone. I've got a polybush one to go in, but I'd rather do that off the car with a bit of heat so we can get it off without breaking it. So once that's off, that should give us a lot more access. We've got to drop that cover off that side as well. That gives us a lot more access then to be able to see the turbo and the bolts that are connected to the downpipe. And obviously then we've got to tackle the nice rusty mess that is the cats to get them off. And then we've got to undo the exhaust coupler down there and drop the entire exhaust down. So we've now got all the drop links and everything disconnected. I've loosened off the first 21mm, which is there. There's another 21mm bolt just there, unfortunately. I've snapped my 3/8 adapter right into my 19mm socket, so I've got to go try and get that out. It's going to be fun. So I've had to order a 21 impact bit for my DeWalt rattle gun. Try and get that out. So I'm going to have to wait on Amazon and then resume play. Okay, we've just undone that 21mm there, and then I'm just about to get on and undo that one there and do the same the other side. And then there's 4 bolts that attach it through the steering rack, which we can drop down, and that whole subframe then should start to drop. So hopefully this one shouldn't be too tight because we've loosened it off. You can see the subframe starting to come down already. So we'll do the other side, and then we'll do the 4 bolts across the middle, and then the subframe should drop onto the jack, hopefully. Right, all these subframe bolts underneath are absolutely solid. The only way of doing it is by getting a breaker bar on it. I wouldn't use the impact going off the bat. Always try and undo stiff bolts with a breaker bar, so you don't end up snapping the bolt too easily. Loosen them off with this and bang them out with a gun. Right, as and when you start to drop the subframe down, you can see there are some power steering hoses that are connected to the top of the subframe, so we need to drop that bolt out there, and that hopefully should release all the lines, and the rest of the subframe should come down nicely with the jack. So now I've released all the power steering hoses. It's just this one hanger, this piece of rubber here, which is connected to the downpipe. So spray some penetrating fluid in that, and then slide that off, and then we should be down. So that hanger's completely off now, so that front subframe is completely free, so we can just lower it down and pull it out. There we have one completely removed subframe. So the anti-roll bar bushings have seen better days, so we're going to replace them. That was especially cruddy. The wishbone bushes, let's get them in and have a look. They're actually not too bad, but a little bit worn, but we'll replace them while we've got it out as well. Give this a good flat down and get it hammer-righted. Get it looking quite nice. We need to remove that dog bone mount as well, try and get them bolts out of there because I've got the new one to go in. There we go. Next phase is to try and tackle the rusted cat bolts and get the downpipe out. Right, we've got them cats undone. They come undone really easily actually, it surprised me. So didn't really take much undoing. I'm very happy with that. So now that's undone, we need to then focus up on the downpipe up there and get that other connector disconnected there so we can drop the cats out. Onwards we go. Okay, so we've got the cats out hole. Here's a secondary O2 sensor. So it's around about a 20mm, so I've put an adjustable spanner on it, just enough to get it turning. Got to be very careful now to just pull this out without twisting the wires too much. What I've done is I've snipped the wires underneath because they were all bunched up with cable ties, just to give me a bit of extra slack, and then I'll re-cable tie them once we refit it. So I can get this wound out and then tackle the actual downpipe itself. And there we have the secondary O2 sensor out. There's no physical or visible damage to the cables that I can see. It doesn't look too badly caked up, so I think we should be good to refit that one. So I'm going to tuck that over the hub at the minute to keep it out of the way. But yeah, we are completely, now if you have a look, we've disconnected the midsection all the way through to where the cats were to the downpipe. Moved the inner arch liner, so I wanted to check on the rust and stuff in that round here, which doesn't seem to be too bad, so we'll do a bit of tidying up on that, a bit of unsealing. We're now going to remove this panel here to give us better access through to see the downpipe and the bolts on the turbo. So I don't know whether you can see there or not, but we've managed to get 2 of the 3 turbo bolts out by using a UJ and, well, 2 UJs and an extension bar. So we've got the bottom and the one nearest the engine block out. We've now got to get to the one that's under the manifold, which is proving to be difficult. I honestly thought I'd be able to get to it without a half-moon spanner, but turns out you can't. Also, one of the YouTube videos said you could get a straight shot through the brake pipe grommet. Absolutely can't. I think he was working on a US car, maybe a 180, I'm not sure. It's got a load of heat shielding and stuff and that in the way. A load of components in the way, so you can't get to it that way at all. So I need to tuck that grommet back in. I've removed the charge pipe. There's all this law down there. Hello, Ava. Oh, you want to be in the video? Say hello. I've removed the charge pipe and the bracket for the charge pipe. There's just the one bolt. Let's see if we can get you eyeballed on it. Below the manifold, about there. So I've ordered some half-moon spanners, 17mm. That should be here tomorrow. This will be day number 3 tomorrow on this, and then we can crack on, hopefully get that last bolt out get the downpipe out, get the new downpipe in, and we've got to, once releasing the downpipe as well, disconnect the primary O2 sensor, which is just there. Right guys, so a massive shout out to Bryn at BWSTT for his video on getting to that awkward bolt. So I've got 1/2 mm spanner, 17mm. What I've had to do, like Bryn said on his video, is remove the heat shielding at the back here. There's 2 screws, there's one that goes into that bracket just there, and one around about centre. Once you've undone them, you can push the heat shielding down out of the way. That just allows you to get in, down the back here. So you can do it left-handed. Like that. And with the heat shielding out of the way, it lets you get one rotation on the nut. And allows you to get back in to keep on doing it, like so. So that's pretty loose now. I can feel the downpipe getting quite loose in my hand. So now I need to get in and disconnect the O2 sensor from this connector here. That's the primary O2 sensor disconnected. So that cable is free to go down the back now with the exhaust when it comes through for the downpipe. That's the connector side of it, and all it does is just, when it's together, slots into that bracket there. So you just pull it out of there, use a screwdriver, slide it off, and pop it down. Okay, so we've exposed the UJ there on the steering rack. I need to jack the steering rack up a little bit so I can get on the bolt to release it. So, pull the jack out. Hopefully the jack will go up that high. We'll soon find out. That 12, 13. We've got 14 just in case. That should now let the steering rack drop completely out the universal joint. Okay, so that's the old downpipe out. Need to get the O2 sensor out. By dropping the steering rack, yeah, it takes a bit of manipulation and bending and twisting to get past some of the hard power steering hoses, but eventually it will come out. Just hoping the new one goes in as easy as what this one come out. So if it's any harder, I ain't bothering, it can go without a downpipe. So that's the new downpipe compared with the old one, slightly different. Actually looks smaller, so I'm hoping that will go in easier. I'll remove the cap for the O2 and then leave that out and put the O2 sensor in once it's fitted, I think. Just to save catching it, snapping it, or doing something stupid with it. So let's try and get it in and see how it goes. Right, if we have a look in the box. There'll be 2 types of gaskets, a 2 and a 3. So 2's for joining that, and that 3's for the turbo. So that'll be the cut out there for how that goes. this easy at all, do they? So that's the new gasket on. Right, let's try feed the new pipe in. I'm hoping it should be easier than getting the old freaking one out. He says. That actually went in surprisingly easy. Concerningly easy almost. And we're on. That was too easy. All that hassle getting that old out and that new one just went straight in. Unbelievable. God. Moving like a man at 90. Hello, Kev. Right, I think the other turbo bolts I put in here. Choose the ones that come off. Because why not? And get this top one in through here. Another one we should probably get to through the wheel arch. I'm lucky. It's more comfortable than lying down to two. That one I think I can get to from underneath. This one should be able to get to from here. Right guys, let me show you how I managed to get access to get these bolts done. So it's Deut and Daiger in here, but it's that bolt there. The way I've done that one was by using my angled impact wrench on one of them. I managed to feed up kind of up through here, up the back, and tighten that one up. The other two, the top one I used the half moon wrench, and that one I managed to get down the back with the half moon wrench. What we do now is feed the O2 sensor in, but that's not bad. It clearances the prop really well, actually. I'll get you a better angle in a minute, but no, looking good. And what we've got to do now is get the drive shaft pushed back up and reconnected back into there. Okay, so we've got the UJ tightened back up. That'll only go one way, so if you're struggling to get that back in, it's got a bit that's notched out, needs to line up with the actual spindle on the steering rack. So don't force it, just take your time and line it up. Right, we've now got the primary O2 sensor installed into the downpipe. So next up, I'm going to get the heat shielding back in, and that's secured back there to protect the brake lines. So we've got that heat shield reinstalled to protect the brake lines. All the O2 sensors are now connected in and routed out of the way of the heat. So we're cracking on now, so I think we're at a point now we can get the charge pipe and everything refitted. And there we have the charge pipe refitted, the intercooler hose connected, right the way up to the elbow for the turbo, and obviously then the two pipes that are into the charge pipe have been refitted as well. Right, now back onto the exhaust. Right, before we start doing the subframe, I need to polybush this dog bone mount. So if we undo the bolt that goes through, pull that metal sleeve off. We've got some rubber bushes in there, so if we these out here. These are Powerflex ones. And what we'll do is whip the bushes out of there and replace them with these. Can't do it one-handed, so I'll back in a sec. So you can see how the mount comes apart. That sits in there like that, and then if we pull that piece off there, we've got another rubber here, and we'll get them replaced and get it back on. Just when I thought it was going out so well, that bolt came out fine. That one bloody snapped. Cheers gasket Gaz, you jinxed me. But that's nothing we can't resolve, so I've got the grinder out, cut that bolt out, and I've flatted either side of the bolt. Quite simply, get a adjustable on it, and wind it out. That way, you've not got to re-tap anything. Obviously I could have just welded a nut on it, but that's effort. Now I've just got to get a bolt the same size, and Bob's your uncle. Good as new. Only took me about 10 minutes, pleased with that. So I was going to refurb this subframe. I'm going to do that in a different video because I was editing the video last night. We were doing half an hour, and you guys tend to switch off after that kind of time. So we'll turn it into another video to redo the subframe. It's only a 10-minute job to pull it out. What do you reckon, Kevin? Yeah? Kevin, oi! What do you think? Yes or no? Yes. We'll take that as a yes. Right, subframe bolted back up. All the wishbones are back in. The ball joints are connected up. Dog mount there. I don't know whether any of the eagle-eyed of you seen that I put it on the subframe the wrong way when I had it off the car, so I had to change it round as soon as I put it on. The only thing I've not clipped in is that clip for the power steering hose. It doesn't really need it, to be honest. It's a pain in the arse to put in. I just need to torque everything up now, so everything's got a different torque spec. Some of the stuff needs to be torqued with the weight of the wheels back on the car, so I'll go through that. Now it's time for a cup of tea, I think. Right, that's the exhaust all connected through. Absolute arse that was. So when I first connected the secondary pipe to the exhaust, it was over here, right over this side of the car. So you have to really put some pressure on it. You see my handprints on it there. Really force it over this way, and then slide the coupler onto the new exhaust piece, and then slide it back over the old exhaust piece while it's under pressure. You really have to kind of like push that flex, really stretch that flex out. But that's in, so I'm going to get torquing done now, and then go for a first start and see how it sounds. Right, we've just got the wheels back on, so we're going to drop this last axle stand down. I've zipped up the secondary O2 sensor wiring, so it's out of the way, and trim them off. I just need to tighten the actual O2 sensor itself. I forgot to do that, so I'll crack on and do that now. Right, I've got it back down on the ground. I've left the wheel arch cover out there, so I'm going to do something with that in the next one. Everything's back together, I think. I think I've got the bolts tight enough on the turbo. We'll soon find out. Let's see. Oh, needs fuel. That sounds a lot better. I'll put before and after up. Smell the fuel, lovely. see it spitting flames or anything. Yep. Just give it a little bit of a rev. Obviously it's on cold start at the minute. A bit of vibration. Well guys, I hope you found that useful. I think that decat has made it sound so much better. Difficulty level, probably a 5 out of 10, but you do need some mechanical skills in order to get it done, because you do have to kind of twist and turn as you go to make things work, I suppose. But yeah, definitely worth doing. 93 quid well spent, I think. For watching guys, I think the amount of effort I've gone to over the last 3 days definitely deserves you to click that subscribe.